Well, hasn't this been a doozy of a week? If you're watching this today, I appreciate it. Uh, in this video, I'm going to give you a little idea of what the sermon's going to be on Sunday. So hopefully you can at least spiritually prepare yourself for that. But just a word about this week's storm. If I or anybody at the gathering can be of help to you, I'd love to hear from you. I'm hopeful that there was no physical damage, hopeful there was no housing damage, but it was a pretty fierce storm. So I'm praying for you and for others. We came out okay. Water came deep into our backyard, but it's amazing how this old house held up. Was built for that. None came in the house, and it's all receded now. So blessings as you recover from that. Life in Florida, eh? That's what it is. As we think together about wisdom, a text that I would have you read to give you some preparation would be reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 18 through 25. That would be a good start as you think through the virtue wisdom. We've been looking at some virtues, and we've looked at faith together and some various aspects of faith. You know, there are 7 cardinal virtues that we've learned from childhood. And as we cover them last week, we even looked at the one called temperance, which means really to have a balance, to have self-control in our life. We've looked at courage together, and we will look this week at wisdom. Wisdom involves learning, but wisdom is not just learning. It's learning in search of an object, as one person has described it. The object for the Christian in wisdom is learning how God makes the universe work, what it is He wants us to do and be in it, to be obedient and to follow the plan of God. His dream for our life is what I've heard one interpreter call it. What does God dream for us in the universe? How can we be wise enough to learn that? Now, there are a lot of things wisdom involves. I'm going to try to touch on some of those on Sunday. One of them certainly would be prudence. I like C.S. Lewis's definition of prudence. Prudence means practical common sense, taking the trouble to think out what you're doing and what is likely to come of that. So as you reflect this week in our world, there's a lot of learning that has gone on. We have learned to split the atom. We have learned to overcome so many technological advances and issues. But in case of how God would have us to live, with all of the learning we've done about some things, we have not learned the most important thing: how to get along and love one another, how much God loves us and values us and all of these other creatures on the planet, why we should treat people respectfully, lovingly, caringly. And when we have wisdom, we learn at the foundation of this whole world is basically God's desire for us to love Him and love one another. So we'll look at wisdom, how it can be a protection for us. It is certainly a hedge that God creates in our life where when we add wisdom, we are more protected from things that can harm us. And then we certainly will focus on the fact that wisdom is embodied in Jesus Christ. Christ is the fulfillment, the end of what we are to know about all things, including wisdom. He's the fullest revelation of God we know, and He certainly embodies that wisdom for us. So to learn of Jesus is to learn biblical wisdom. I would say if I were to define wisdom in the Bible, it's knowing how life works. And that means what is most important and how God intended it to work. I hope you have a good rest of the week. Pick up those sticks and those limbs and move that pine straw and be thankful. This storm could have been a whole lot worse in my estimation. If you feel comfortable coming Sunday, come on. I'm really, really pleased with the distancing, with the care that Sandestin has given for setup. for those that are preparing very safe environment for us to worship. We'll still wear masks. We'll still not hug or touch one another, but we will be in God's presence together if you feel like you can come. If not, stay tuned virtually. I hope you'll watch certainly our services, that maybe you'll share them with others. You take care and have a wonderful rest of the week.